I used to think I had seen everything in medicine. The kind of cases where survival seemed impossible. Pain that drained every ounce of hope. Patients who refused treatment simply because they couldn't bear to live one more day. I believed I had grown numb to emotion, convinced that nothing could surprise me or shake me anymore. Until the day she said it. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. It was just a quiet sentence, spoken gently after a 7-hour brain surgery. And yet that sentence, so hauntingly accurate, stopped me cold. She described her surgery in vivid detail, even though she had been in a deep coma the entire time. Who entered the room? Who argued with whom? She repeated the exact words I had whispered to myself when I thought no one could hear. There was no way she could have known. But she did. She knew everything. And the way she looked at me afterward, smiling as if handing back a piece of faith I had long lost, I'll never forget that. What chilled me wasn't just her accuracy. It was the final thing she said. Just one sentence, but it made me question everything I thought I knew about life, death, and whatever lies in between. I can't explain it, but I know I need to share this. Not because I need you to believe me, but because someone out there is hearing something similar right now, and they're just waiting for permission to feel it too. Maybe that someone is you. So what would lead a perfectly healthy woman, with no symptoms and no anxiety, to calmly state with certainty, "There's a tumor in my brain," and more disturbing, how did she know exactly where it was? Emily Foster walked into my office on a gloomy March afternoon, when even the sunlight outside the hospital window seemed hesitant. She carried with her an energy that slowed the room down. There was no panic, no urgency in her steps, but her eyes told a different story. There was something in her gaze that felt both certain and unsure, calm and somehow racing against time. Emily was 42, an elementary school teacher from Oregon. She didn't smoke, had no headaches, and no medical history to be concerned about. And yet, when I asked her what brought her in, she didn't mention fatigue, dizziness, or insomnia. She simply looked at me and said, quietly but with the weight of granite, "I have a tumor in my brain, just above the right temple." I don't know how I know, but I know. I heard a voice. It woke me up at exactly 2:14 a.m. clear, as if someone were standing next to my bed. But no one was there. The voice told me to get checked. Told me I had to act now. At first, I thought I was dreaming, she continued. But the next night, it happened again. Same time. Same voice. The strange thing is, I wasn't afraid. I felt peace. As if it wasn't threatening me, it was guiding me. Emily's family told her to rest, not to worry about something so irrational. Her friends teased her, saying she'd been reading too many spiritual stories. But she came anyway. She sat in that chair, steady and composed. And when I asked her why she trusted the voice, her answer came without a moment's hesitation. Because it didn't come from outside. It came from a part of me I've never touched before. And that part has never been wrong. But can a voice, just a voice, shake the foundations of medical science? Can intuition know what machines haven't detected? I didn't believe it. Not until the MRI came back. And in that moment, everything began to change. I remember vividly the moment the printer began sliding out the first MRI films. Part of me still wanted to believe this was just a routine checkup, a slightly anxious patient, a few calm reassurances, and we'd all move on. But the images on the screen were telling a very different story, a deeply different one. Right there in the right temporal lobe, exactly where Emily said it would be, was a small mass, about the size of a pinky tip. It was tucked in deep, in a place that would have been almost impossible to detect unless the scan caught it at just the right angle, at just the right moment, with just the right sensitivity. A nearly flawless section of brain showed a tiny, unmistakable distortion. And that distortion was the very thing Emily had already seen before I ever saw it, even with a machine worth millions of dollars. I stared at the results, grasping for some rational explanation. Maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe she had read some medical material and internalized it. Maybe it was a kind of somatic delusion. But deep down I knew. No patient had ever walked into my office and pointed to the exact location of a tumor inside their brain with such clarity. I questioned Emily again, this time more thoroughly, as if I were trying to find the flaw in an answer I didn't want to believe was true. But she only smiled. Calmly. Not surprised. Not proud. She wasn't pleased that she had been right. She simply accepted it as fact. "I don't know what it is," she said, "but I know I didn't imagine it. That voice is still there. And it told me I'll be fine as long as I keep following the path." I used to think intuition was a vague emotion, something soft and unreliable. But in that moment, I started to wonder if intuition isn't something to doubt, but something meant to save us. And then things got more serious when we decided to move forward with the surgery. But the most unexpected part wasn't the operation itself. It was what happened in the middle of it. We scheduled the surgery for later that same week. Not because the tumor was growing rapidly, but because of where it was, an area far too delicate to take any chances. Just a few millimeters off could affect speech or memory. Emily agreed without hesitation. She said she wasn't afraid. Not because she trusted us, but because she had already trusted the voice. Her calm unnerved me. It was almost uncomfortable, like I, the one wearing the white coat and holding the scalpel, was the one with less faith than the patient about to have brain surgery. The skies were gray that morning. In the operating room, the overhead lights cast a cold white glow, and the familiar sounds of medicine filled the air. The soft beeping of the heart monitor, the clinking of metal instruments, the rhythmic suction. We put her under deep anesthesia. She lost consciousness, but she didn't truly leave. I wouldn't know that until much later. The surgery began smoothly. Everything was going as expected. But 3 hours in, Emily's heart rate suddenly went erratic. Her blood pressure dropped. Alarms lit up the monitors. We activated the emergency protocol. Adrenaline was administered. It didn't last long, just 1 minute and 23 seconds, but in medicine, that's a line you don't cross lightly. A line between life and death. We revived her. Her vitals stabilized. Her heart beat again. But something didn't come back. Not in Emily. In me. In that moment, touching that edge, I found myself stepping out of everything I once held as absolute. Machines can save lives, but they can't answer the questions. And the questions started piling up the moment Emily woke up. No confusion. No extended coma. She was alert. Far too alert. And what she said next, it didn't belong in any medical file. What do you do when the person lying unconscious tells you what you did, while she couldn't see, couldn't hear, couldn't even breathe? She woke up earlier than expected. No grogginess. No struggle. No one had to call her name. Emily simply opened her eyes, turned to me, and smiled as if we had just completed a journey we both knew the destination of. But what I'll never forget wasn't the smile. It was what came next. "I know you were scared," she said. "You froze when my blood pressure dropped. And then you whispered that you wouldn't let me go." I never said those words out loud. Not once. That was something I had only whispered silently in my mind, in a moment of panic when everyone else was moving and I thought we were losing her. But she knew. She repeated my exact words. Not one added, not one missing. I still tried to believe it was a coincidence, until Emily began to describe what she saw. She recalled the operating room in detail, from the clamp I accidentally dropped on the left side of the floor, to the instrumental music playing softly through the speaker on the wall. She described 3 people in green scrubs, one with sweat beading across his forehead, another whispering, "We've got seconds left before it's too late," followed by someone raising the volume of the heart rhythm count. She spoke calmly, her voice steady, her eyes unwavering, as if narrating a dream she hadn't just imagined, but fully lived through. It wasn't sight in the traditional sense. It was something else. And then came the sentence that nearly made me drop the pen in my hand. I saw myself. From above. No fear. No pain. Just lightness. And brightness. I wasn't the body lying on that table anymore. I was part of something greater. Present but unbound. I saw everyone. I heard everything. And I knew. I was allowed to come back. I asked, allowed by whom? She didn't answer right away. She simply closed her eyes, as if the answer wasn't meant to be spoken, but felt something beyond logic, something you only recognize when your soul has touched it. She wasn't done speaking, because what she saw didn't end in the operating room. Beyond the cold lights, the beeping machines, and the spiking ECG lines, there was another world. No operating table. No clock. No fear. Only light. And a meeting, one she said she would never forget. I don't know how long she sat in silence before continuing. The air in the room felt heavier somehow, as if her very presence had thickened time. She no longer spoke with the tone of someone telling a story. Her voice had slowed, softened, like someone speaking from a place where language no longer existed. "After I left my body," she began, "I didn't float. I didn't fly. I just wasn't being held back anymore. Everything became unbelievably quiet. There was no sound, yet I could hear. No blinding light, yet I could see. In front of me was a warm glow, not like a spotlight, but like a blanket laid gently over the soul. I didn't see anyone, but I wasn't alone. There was a presence. No shape. No name. But I knew it more deeply than anything I've ever known in life. It was a place I had once belonged to. Then the voice came again. But this time, it wasn't like the one she'd heard by her bedside. This time, it came from within her. It didn't speak in words. It didn't ask what she wanted. It simply reminded her, "You still have work to do. You're not finished. You must go back." "I wanted to stay," Emily said. "For the first time in my life, I felt like I didn't have to try anymore. No more pain. No more expectations. No more unanswered questions. Just completeness." But I also knew that feeling wasn't for now. It was a destination, not a place to stop and stay. The voice guided her through memories, times she had been ashamed of herself, the secrets she had buried, the moments she had wished she could disappear. But instead of judgment, she felt something entirely different. Forgiveness, acceptance, and love. Not love from a person, but from a source of light too vast to be named. I asked her, "Do you think it was God? An angel? Some higher power?" She shook her head. "I don't know, and I don't need to know. I just know it was more real than anything I've ever touched while awake." I sat there frozen, listening to every word as if I were hearing echoes from a part of myself I didn't realize I had lost. There is no scientific scale to measure what she described. But the strangest part was that I didn't want to dismiss it. I wanted to believe it. Yet even that wasn't the end. Because when she came back, Emily didn't just bring memories of another realm. She came back with a message. One that wasn't meant just for me. It was for all of us. A message she had been told to share before it was too late. And what she said next completely changed the way I see life. She sat up just a few days later, recovering with a speed that felt almost unreal, like her body was racing to catch up with a soul that had returned from somewhere far beyond. I asked her if she felt afraid after everything that had happened. She paused for a long time, then said softly, "No, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm only afraid of living without ever hearing myself." That answer doesn't appear in any medical textbook. But it was truer than anything I'd ever learned in a classroom. She told me she came back with a message. Not from a god, not from some celestial being, but from the experience itself. She said, "We are not just bodies, not just heartbeats and survival metrics. We are something wider, deeper, and that part of us is always trying to speak to us. We're just too loud to hear it." In that moment, I wasn't a doctor. I was someone being healed. Not because I was sick, but because I had forgotten that faith itself can be a kind of medicine. I used to think everything could be measured, explained, and diagnosed. But after the day Emily walked out of that operating room, I started to believe that some things don't need proof to be real. And sometimes the only thing you need to do is listen. Not to the outside, but to what's within. Emily went back to teaching. She didn't become a prophet. She didn't start a movement. She didn't chase mystery. She simply lived. But she lived as if every day was a gift she had nearly lost. She began writing. Not to be famous, but to tell her story for someone out there who might be hearing a voice no one else has ever acknowledged. This story isn't meant to convince you that the afterlife is real, or that we all have guardian angels. It's not about religion. It's about listening, about intuition, about that quiet knowing you've felt, but never dared to trust for fear of being called crazy, weak, or foolish. But what if Emily hadn't listened? She wouldn't be here. And maybe I wouldn't be the same man sitting here now. So what about you? Have you ever heard a voice inside you? Something with no evidence, no explanation, yet it keeps pulling at you like a thread you can't ignore? And if so, would you follow it? Or would you silence it and miss the one chance that might save you? Because maybe, just maybe, the thing trying to save you right now isn't a doctor. It isn't a machine. It's you. A deeper, wiser, more awakened version of you is waiting for you to believe.